Pizza better than a sandwich, Papa John.
Overlap in time, some of them know each other.
Not even once. They just bludgeon him.
You know, it's even worse than that, Sean. When you think about the fact that the Adam Schiff-led impeachment trial started in the middle of December, took the whole month, and then the Senate, the House found, impeached the president. Then the Senate trial, the whole month of January. You know, he was acquitted in early February. Of course, the guy was distracted. How do Democrats feel now about this hoax impeachment that totally distracted the leader of the free world, made him worry about his own historic legacy, totally attacking him every day, the Washington Post, the New York Times, the whole of the mainstream media piling on the guy, and then they say, why didn't you see what happened in China earlier? Why weren't you more pressing?
Wait a minute.
Why weren't
they were the ones.
The
Washington Post was saying, oh, you're a bunch of scaredy cats. They were saying that. All right, Dan.
Yeah, Sean, it's important to note here the timeline because facts matter, and, facts are really challenging for our liberal friends. They don't do that kind of thing often, January 15th, Nancy Pelosi was doing what? Quick quiz for our liberal friends. Yeah, that's right. She was celebrating. Remember the pens, Sean? The 7,600 pens she used to sign the impeachment articles? Every single little millimeter of...
T-Mobile.com to learn more. You can also...
very quickly, and I feel for Guam. But you've got to begin to do this. And I feel for the Navy. They're in a very tough spot because they're being told, number one, take care of your people, but number two, keep doing all your missions. Keep being ready for anything. And that captain put it very well. If you're in a war, then yes, we're going to take a chance. We're going to take a chance on this virus spreading. But if you're not, don't do it. Take the precautions. Surge a Marine field hospital that's got some ICU beds that can take care of people.
Community, the St. Francis House has a new, larger space that allows us to help more people than ever before. Our new living spaces provide a greater sense of privacy and dignity, and our state-of-the-art kitchen provides warm meals for up to 80 and will serve 120 people when Phase 2 is completed in summer 2020, so that we can serve even more individuals in the Sioux Empire. The new St. Francis House, more space, more services, moving people from homelessness to hope.
At Midco, we believe being connected is important. You use your internet and phone.
Brother, and the fact that he lacked total preparedness and he's screaming at the president, I need 30,000 this. I mean, how about some appreciation? It has nothing to do with, that's politics. On a personal level, we're praying for Chris, we're praying for his family, and everyone else that gets this. Thank you both. We'll continue.
888-1300 or visit midco.com/lifeline.
CNN Tonight with Don Lemon, coming up next.
I don't know if you agree with me, let me know, but more than anything else, this situation is just so weird, right? Isn't that the word that just keeps coming up? That we're just like living a sci-fi thriller. And it turns out that fact is stranger than fiction, right? I mean, that's the reality. So many of the traditional differences among us are disappearing. Why? Because we're all in the same bucket, stuck in the house, sharing fears, sharing worries about providing and wellness and leadership, feelings of doubt. Can this really be as daunting as everyone seems to think now? Well, on that question, let me serve as confirmation of the reality, okay? You can get this. Now, unlike me, you will not have the added oddity of watching in real time as your brother addresses the nation and discusses the fact that you have just caught the virus.
My brother Chris is positive for coronavirus. Found out this morning. He is going to be fine. He's young, in good shape, strong, not as strong as he thinks, but he will be fine. And now he's quarantined in the basement, but it's funny as heck. He says to me, even the dogs won't come downstairs, he says. So but he is concerned about his wife and his kids. People wind up exposing you, and then they find out they're positive a couple of days later. It's my family, it's your family, it's all of our families. And this virus is that insidious.
Look, let's just be clear about something. Captain Banana Hands is right. It is all of us. But it is literally me, okay? And I know he's trying to be comforting to the rest of you. Hearing him talk to me about that way, about me, made me very worried about what the road ahead could be. I started calling all these doctors after that. I was like, this is not a good indication of my future. And luckily, what's going on is what's going on with everybody. Man, are we scared when it's someone we know and we love. He raised me. Of course, it's going to freak him out. And I don't want to be a cautionary tale, but I am fighting something that we don't really understand. And you do not want to be in that position. No one can really give me anything good to do about it. It's really, I've never seen anything like that before, where there's like nothing you can do. The tightness in my chest is tough to account for. Is it the virus, or is it the choking concern of my inability to do what matters most, which is the same thing for you, to care for my family? Look what I've done. Look what I am now. I can't help. I can't be there. I can't even hold them. For how long? Weeks? Now look, it's no longer an opinion. One of the only things we know for sure is that staying home is our best, if not our only chance of avoiding long-term suffering. What else do you need to hear? Even Trump gets that now. Look, I am honestly happy that it is me. Better than you, better than my family. God forbid. I'm waiting for that information, and that will take me way lower than any virus ever could. And I hope so strongly for your family and for you. I mean that. And I hope you feel that as well. We have to fight for one another in a way that we really never have here before. And that is a daunting challenge, but it's an exciting one as well. It is time to walk the walk. I'm going to be in the basement in self-quarantine. Big deal. Of course, emotionally, it's hard for me. But to reduce the strain on our angels, on those front lines, like you met tonight, Carly, so that we don't expose other people, we don't create more caseload, more risk to her, to go home to her family with how long she's going to have to do this, weeks and months. Do what we need to do to remind everyone of who we are at our best. And that is the only reality that we need to motivate us right now, not numbers. Forget the numbers. Why? We're playing catch up. They can only jump exponentially. They can only be scary. The only number that I argue matters is one. You. Me. What do you choose to do? To do and not to do, right? You know the phrase, to borrow from Shakespeare a little bit. It's not the question. It is the answer. The only good news is they're telling us it's working. Staying away works. Let the fact that I'm doing the show and I'm doing okay be a comfort, that the numbers are not everything. Most of us are going to be fine. Hopefully it stays that way for me. But also, let me take away any illusion that you're not bigger. You're too big for this. If I can get it, you can get it. All right? Remember, the good news is we are our best solution. Together as ever as one. We know what to do to make this easier on all of us. We just have to do it. A lot of news. CNN tonight, D. Lemon on top of all of it, as always.
What's going on today? Something's different about your set.
Is it?
Yeah. Where's your suit?
I've worked on this hard.
Your black tie and the white shirt?
I'm too sick. Christina said it didn't look right for me to be sick in a funereal suit. It looks too much like what I might be buried in.
Yeah? Did she come down there and do some decorating and help you dress?
Nope. Nobody will come anywhere near. Those stairs are where they're over there. Those stairs are a no-go zone. Even the dogs don't come.
Listen, everybody, don't get it twisted. We know this is very serious, but this is how Chris and I interact. We tease each other. So I knew when I got the call early this morning, when I saw it said Christopher Cuomo, I was like, oh Lord, here we go. And then, but I was actually on a business call, so I was like, I'll call you right back. And I called you back. I knew what you were going to tell me. So anyways,
it's nice that's where the priority played in your own life.
Well, we had been kind of talking. We've been talking about it.
Get back.
Can I share? We've been talking about it. You said you told me you were going to go get the test. that you were concerned. You thought it was a sinus infection initially. So I've been holding on to the information for a while, and then so when you called me, it wasn't a surprise. And you're a strong guy, so I know that you'll be fine. And I just don't want to have to, because your family's abandoned you. I don't want to have to come over there and bring you stuff like Silence of the Lamb with a rope down the little window or your.
I don't want to get the hose again. I'll tell you what I feel badly about, and this is why I want you to avoid this. It's not being sick. I'll deal with it. Whatever it is, it is. So many people have it so much worse. I don't believe that that's the way I'm going to go. But not being able to be there for the people you love. For guys like me and you, that is a killer. To have those kids upstairs, and I don't know if any of them is sick yet because of me, my wife, the center of everything, and I'm down here. That sucks. And I don't want other people to be in this position. So learn from me. You can get it, avoid it.
Yeah. Well, did you get my gift?
No.
Sent you a 6-pack of Corona.
Did you? You're not funny, by the way.
I know I'm not. I'm trying to make you feel better. I actually do feel bad for you.
Back.
Yeah, I do feel bad.
This is so weird, Don. It is so weird to have symptoms, and when you talk to the doctor, they say there is nothing you can do. Let us know if your breathing gets more restricted, and then you say, okay, why? What do we do then?
But here's the real me.
This
is a concern. The other part, I'm trying to make you feel good and make you laugh. But here's the real part. You have to listen to what Dr. Gupta said. I saw your segment with Dr. Gupta, and he's concerned about the breathing in your chest and all that. You have to listen to him. So listen to the symptoms. I know that you want to get out, you want to work out, you want to do all those things. You can't do it right now. I know that your gym is down there in the basement. Don't do that, Chris. I know that you've got the sauna down there in the basement. Don't do that. Chill out for however long they tell you to do it, and just take the time to relax. Focus on your show. Do your radio. Talk to people. Yell at Mario at the top of the stairs or what have you, and just chill out. And I'll make some bad jokes and inappropriate jokes, and I'll call you and text you things like, "Why are you crying on the air? Why are you crying on the air? Why you always tease when I get emotional on the air? You always tease me. And you call me a baby, and now you're crying on the air. What's going on with you?"
I wasn't emotional on the air. There's a difference between poignance and just like an outpouring of emotion for effect. Not that I'm drawing a distinction between the two of us.
Okay. I love you, buddy.
I care about people who care about us. I care about these people just like you. We've seen so many who are doing so much for people they don't even know. And we're not even doing enough for ourselves, and that's what galls me. But you got to love these frontline people, man. They are just the best of us. They give me hope in humanity.
They are the best, and they are really on the front lines. And believe me, when they say it's like a war zone, I know that you've been out and you've been seeing some of this stuff, but just take care of yourself. We need you. Take care of your family. I already texted Christina today. If you need anything, I'm really just right around the corner. Honestly, we don't live that far from each other, sadly. So you don't get to bug me as much, and that's kind of good. Someone asked me today, they said, "How's he doing?" I said, "He's fine. I don't want to speak for him, but the basement is the right place for him."
Yeah, it seems to be the consensus. You can come and look at me through the glass. I'll be here for a couple of weeks.
It rubs the lotion on the skin.
Give the news. There's a lot of information. There's a lot of love. People have been so good to me. Thank you for being good to me and my family. I love you. I'll see you tomorrow.
Anytime. Just a phone call away. All right, buddy? Take care, and the whole Cuomo family. This is CNN Tonight. I'm Don Lemon, and our breaking news is news that should make every American stop in their tracks. There are now, and I always say this, there are people involved. There you get to see there's a person who's involved who's close to me and to you. You watch them every night. There are more than 185,000 cases of coronavirus in this country. More than 3,825 deaths. At least 821 deaths reported just today, and that is what's happening in this country. That is the most reported coronavirus deaths in the country in a single day since the outbreak began. A number that just goes up and up and up. You see it here. Last Friday, there were at least 258 reported deaths. Look at that, 258 reported deaths, March 27th, okay? Just that single day. Saturday, 394. The next day, March 28th, 394 deaths reported on Sunday. Then 456, look at that. Yesterday, that was just yesterday. Yesterday, that number was up, on Monday. 575 deaths. And tonight, at least 821 new deaths reported. You see the numbers going up. A a grim president today warning Americans that the next 2 weeks will be very painful. And we now know, we see that they already are. And his coronavirus task force says that even if guidelines are followed precisely, and we've all seen that they haven't been so far, there still could be 100,000 and 240,000 deaths, to 240,000 deaths. Can you imagine that?
I want every American to be prepared for the hard days that lie ahead. We're going to go through a very tough 2 weeks. And then hopefully, as the experts are predicting, as I think a lot of us are predicting after having studied it so hard, you're going to start seeing some real light at the end of the tunnel. But this is going to be a very painful, very, very painful 2 weeks.
And the president also paid tribute to the bravery of true heroes among us, the true heroes that are among us, the healthcare workers on the front lines, risking their own lives while trying to save the rest of us.
The bravery is incredible, and I just have to take my hat. I would take my hat. If I were wearing a hat, I'd rip that hat off so fast, and I would say you people are just incredible. They really are. They're very brave.
But listen to what the president says now, tonight, about comparing the flu to the coronavirus.
Think of what would have happened if we didn't do anything. I mean, I've had many friends, business people, people with great, actually, common sense. They said, why don't we write it out? A lot of people have said, a lot of people have thought about it. Write it out. Don't do anything. Just write it out and think of it as the flu. But it's not the flu. It's vicious.
Gee, who would ever have thought that we could just ride this out? Does he think that we've all forgotten that he called the coronavirus a hoax? Does he think that we've forgotten what he said that it would disappear like a miracle? That his administration insisted it was contained? Mocked people who said otherwise? Urged Americans to buy stock? That he said 15 cases would go down to 0 in a couple of days? That's all the truth. It's all on tape. And where did people get the false and dangerous idea that this was like the flu? There it is, maybe from the president, who tweeted just a few weeks ago comparing the number of people who die from the flu to deaths from coronavirus. Tonight he also took credit for what he calls the biggest decision he made, shutting down travel from China.
I made a decision to stop China from coming in. Took a lot of heat, even from China. They weren't exactly happy. I just made a trade deal, a big one, $250 billion trade deal, and I'm shortly thereafter saying you can't come into our country. That was a big decision. That was earlier than the dates you're talking about. So that was a big decision. That was probably, and by the way, not because I did it, that was probably the biggest decision we made.
Some people are fact averse, but we like the facts on this show, and so here's the fact of that, because you've been hearing that a lot. Everybody listen, here's the fact. The president didn't shut down travel from China. All right? Listen. He made exceptions for immediate family members of American citizens and permanent residents. And American citizens themselves were free to go back and forth. So, and anyone who had been to Hubei province were quarantined. The rest were screened, and they were subject to up to 14 days of self-quarantine. That is by no means a shutdown. And we all know this virus doesn't care whether you're a citizen or not. It doesn't care who your family is. This is a time for the cold, hard facts. Yet the president says this.
I'm not about bad news. I want to give people hope. I want to give people a feeling that we all have a chance. I mean, when you saw the numbers, and when John and all of you saw those numbers, and you're saying 120,000 people, you mean that's good? 100,000 dead people within a short period of time. I want to give people a feeling of hope.
Yeah, you know, it is the president's job to give Americans hope. It's also his job to level with people. We need honesty, and we need credibility, and we need it now. Two things this president has squandered away over the last 3 years, and from the very beginning of this crisis.
And citizens. And he's confidently reminding us that no matter what the challenge, you bet America is up for it. And those are my thoughts at the end of the shutdown, day 15. All right, joining me now is Jeff Collier, former Kansas governor and...
Do people need to wear some kind of face covering, even if it's just a bandana, when they're out and about?
Well, the guidance that's out there has not changed, where the CDC says people who are healthcare providers should be wearing it. If you have someone who's infected and you want to prevent them from infecting person in the healthcare setting, they should wear them. What is being actively discussed, and it is being actively discussed today, and we'll be talking about it tomorrow, given the fact that there is a degree of transmission from asymptomatic individuals who may not know that they're infected, we need to at least examine the possibility, as long as you said correctly, as long as we're absolutely certain we don't take the masks away from individuals who are healthcare providers who need them, have some sort of facial covering. It doesn't need to be a classical mask, but something that would have someone prevent them from infecting others. So this is actively being looked at.
I have a question from Facebook's, someone named David says, why do they think warm weather will help? It's been hot here in Florida, yet the virus is spreading here just like other places. Do you have an answer for him?
Oh yeah, sure, because classically when you have diseases like influenza and other coronaviruses that are relatively benign, traditionally and consistently, what happens when the warm weather comes, viruses generally don't do as well in warm, moist weather as they do in cold, dry weather. And people tend to be outside instead of in closed environments where respiratory infections can spread relatively easy. That is generally what happens. We are not sure at all, nor there is a guarantee that when there is warmer weather, we're going to see a diminution. We hope that it happens, but we can't guarantee it.
Real quickly, Dr.
Now, all over the United States and indeed all over the world, are they not?
Absolutely they are, and I think that Dr. Fauci doesn't seem to appreciate that essentially, like in polio, we don't have time to do beautiful randomized clinical trials. We know these drugs have a very good safety margin, very specifically hydroxychloroquine. The major risk factor is that it can cause EKG abnormalities, but that's something that's easily monitored. These drugs are clearly effective and safe. They've been around for a long time. They're cheap. They're easy to access. Our biggest problem, however, with hydroxychloroquine may be getting enough of it. I think we have to think about how do we upscale production. And the other thing we need to think about is potentially prophylaxing healthcare workers with low doses of hydroxychloroquine to prevent them from getting in trouble and getting infected.
Dr. Collier, I've been hearing this from my medicine cabinet, as I like to call a lot of you guys, for days and days, that physicians themselves are taking hydroxychloroquine as a prophylactic against themselves coming down with this virus and perhaps getting seriously ill. Dr. Collier, what about that? They're prescribing it to themselves. It's already happening.
No, it's already happening. There are patients that are very high risk. You've made an intubation out in the field with a COVID patient, you don't have PPE. You have to give people some options. And in a responsible way, we're seeing people working on this. There is a study, but we're also seeing people using it appropriately. We're also seeing that if you treat people early in this illness, that they do recover. We have the numbers from France, for example, 78 out of 80 hospitalized patients treated early all returned home.
Dr. Asqui, a new study that came out just tonight, the Lancet, I believe it was actually the CDC's numbers. They did a survey, we'll put it up on the screen, about comorbidities in this virus. This, again, just came out. 78% of ICU patients with COVID-19 have at least one underlying health problem, 32% diabetes, 29% cardiovascular, lung disease, long-term kidney disease,
those played a factor into that somber tone you saw coming from the president today.
Well, Dr. Gowner, the president says nearly 10,000 ventilators are being held back from distribution. From a medical perspective, do governors and healthcare professionals, do they need them now?
I think this is very concerning. I think you have a couple things at play here, Don. One is that you're going to see a surge in need very quickly. And so if those ventilators are not on hand, when you have a patient that goes into respiratory distress that needs a ventilator, it happens like that. You have minutes. And so to say, let's just wait and see until we see that surge in patients, you're going to see a lot of patients die just because of that. You know, and then secondly, I think a big problem here is that there's no federal national level coordination according to need, according to epidemiological projections as to where the needs are going to be. And so first come, first serve, and on the basis of political favorites is not a way to be allocating these very scarce resources right now.
So it's not prudent to